For the second part of this module, or the content of this module, so our topic is about preparing the operating budgets. Okay, so here we have 11 operating budgets. So we have sales budget, production budget, direct materials purchase or purchases budget, direct labor budget, overhead budget, ending finished goods inventory budget, cost of goods sold budget, marketing expense budget, research and development expense budget, administrative expense budget, and the budgeted income statement. Okay, so if you could notice again, when talking about operating budgets, here we are preparing budget for the income generating activity of or income generating activities of the organization. So basically, we will prepare the income statement. That's why if you could notice, the last type of operating budget that we will prepare is the income statement, the budgeted income statement. So all the rest are part of the income statement. Okay, so to start, if you could still remember in the previous video lecture, so we've mentioned there that the starting point for our master budget is the sales budget. So that's why in this case, in preparing for the operating budget, the first budget that we will prepare is the sales budget. Okay, so the sales budget is the projection approved by the budget committee. It describes the expected sales for each product in terms of units or dollars or peso or whatever currency that we will use. Okay, so basically here, this is the expected or the forecasted sales. And this sales will be reflected in terms of number of units, how many units will be expected to be sold in the next year or in the next period, and how much will be the related revenue out of that number of units that is expected to be sold. Okay, so the sales budget must be constructed first before any other budgets can be constructed. So again, as what we have mentioned earlier, this is because the sales forecast is our starting point for any budgeting or master budget. Okay, so to understand better how to prepare the sales budget, so we will use this illustration. Okay, so ABC Incorporated, so here they manufacture and sell concrete block for residential and commercial building. So the company expects to sell the following in 2021 or in the next period. Okay, so here we have the detail. Okay, so we have 4 quarters. Okay, so the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter of 2021. So here, the units or the expected units to be sold for each quarter are also reflected. So for quarter 1, they are expecting, or the company is expecting to sell 2 million concrete block or concrete blocks. For the second quarter, so they expect to sell 6 million units. Third quarter, 6 million also. And for the fourth quarter, that's 2 million concrete blocks. Okay. Aside from the number of units, for the sales forecast, of course, we are not only concerned about the number of units. So here, as mentioned earlier, we also need to budget the sales revenue, okay, that we will be expecting to earn. So we have here the unit selling price, okay, also for each concrete block. So for the first and second quarter, we have the same unit selling price of 0.70. And for the third and fourth quarter, it increased slightly to 0.80. Okay, so this is our data to be used for the sales forecast. So requirement. Okay, number one, we will construct a sales budget for uh, the ABC concrete block line for the coming year. And we will also show the total sales by quarter and in total for the whole year. Okay, for the second requirement, so what if there were two types of concrete block? So we have type 1 and type 2. And 60% of sales in each quarter were from type 1. So meaning to say 40% will be coming from type 2 concrete blocks. So we will assume that the selling price for type 1 is 0.6 for the first quarter, 0.70 for the rest of the year. So for the type 2 concrete block, the selling price is 0.80 in the first and second quarters and 0.90 per unit for the third and fourth quarters. So based on the data, we will construct a sales budget for the company showing sales for both types and in total. Okay, so for the solution for number one. Okay, so we have here the budgeted sales, okay, for the year ended December 31, 2021. So based on data provided, we have here the number of units for each quarter as mentioned earlier, okay, and the unit selling price. So all we have to do is to just multiply that to get the sales revenue or sales for each quarter, and for the whole year, the company is expecting to have a sales revenue of $12 million. Okay, in terms of number of units, that's 16 million. Okay, so this is our sales forecast. By the way, again, I would like to remind you that the data from our sales budget is especially uh, provided by the marketing department, because here they are the ones who are actually making the uh, promotion, okay, for the sales. Okay, and they are the ones who are deploying the salesmen in the field, so they would know the more likely the actual uh, estimated number of units that can be sold based on the past performance. Okay, so this is our sales budget given the data for the number of units and the unit selling price. Okay, so next, for the second requirement. So here, what if the company has two types of concrete blocks? We have the type 1 and the type 2 concrete blocks. So here, we are going to prepare the sales budget for each type of concrete block per quarter and for the whole year. Okay, so based on the data, so if you could still remember, again here, 60% of the sales in each quarter were for type 1. Okay, so 60% is for type 1 block, concrete block, and the remaining 40% will be for the type 2 concrete blocks. So therefore, based on our data earlier, okay, so here, for example, for the first quarter, our total units, expected units will be 2 million. So 60% of that, okay, will be for the type 1 block and 40% will be for the type 2 block. So that's why we have 1.2 and 800,000. So the same will also apply to the second, third, and fourth quarters based on our original data in terms of the number of units. Okay, so next, for the unit selling price, this is also given in the requirement. So for type 1 block, we have for the first quarter, 0.60, and for the second quarter, and the rest of the year, I mean second to the fourth quarter, that's 0.70. Okay, so again, we will just multiply it to get the sales revenue. Okay, and we also have the data for the total amounts for the year, for the whole year. The same also will be applied to the type 2 concrete blocks. So we will just follow the data that is being provided, okay, in the requirement. So therefore, for the sales of the type 1 block, so the total sales will be 6.6 million. And for the type 2 blocks, that's 5.440. Therefore, the total sales for the whole year for both the type 1 block and type 2 concrete blocks will be 12,040,000. Okay, so this is how you prepare the sales budget. So the important thing here is that you have the data in terms of the number of units and the unit selling price.